Welcome to Film Study, an all-American podcast with Lexi. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, all of those things. Enjoy the episode. Today I have Kat Pettibone. Is it Pettibone?
That's right. Yeah. Perfect. Nailed it.
Nailed it. And she does, is it Telltale TV?
Telltale TV, yes.
TelltaleTV.com, and we love her reviews. Twitter, you know what I'm talking about.
Thank you.
They're amazing. I think I discovered them, last season. And
I appreciate that so much.
They're just so good all the time. So I'm so excited to have you here. And I'm
so excited to be here.
Thank you. And we're going to talk about Show Me a Good Time. I, for one, love cabin episodes.
So fun.
They're always a good time. No pun intended. And so just right off the bat, what'd you think of the episode?
I loved it. As I said in my review, it is, I think, a flawless episode of coming of age television. Oh. I think it's so important for teen TV to slow down from the drama sometimes and kind of take a bottle episode and let their kids have fun. Yeah. And all the cabin episodes are always so good, like you said. The whole gang was there. We got a really great adult storyline too. Yes. So I really think it hit all the mark. I mean, and then obviously there's some great relationship stuff in there. It was storytelling wise, it was awesome. 5 stars.
Yeah. And as we know, All American does not pause on the drama very often.
This is very true. Goes hard with that.
It does. I enjoyed it as well. I think, especially on the rewatch, I noticed some things that I didn't notice the first time. There were a lot of great one-liners in this episode, which I
agree. Same. Yeah.
So shout out to I think it was a new writer too as well that wrote this episode, and so shout out to them.
Yes, Adrian Burks, I think I want to say. Dukes? Yeah. Maybe Adrian Dukes?
Something. It's Adrian something, I know.
Adrian, you nailed it.
You did. So right off the bat, we get this intro with JJ and the boys, which I was kind of shocked about because we've never had a little FaceTime intro thing on the show ever.
I was like, what is happening? And why is Asher on the floor? I did not understand what was going on.
They didn't explain it. I'm not gonna lie, at first I was a little concerned until I saw the controller, the game controller, because
same.
There's a storyline that I just was not happy about for the past couple of episodes. And this episode, you know what I'm talking about.
Are we talking about, if we're talking about the same thing, then 100%.
I think we're talking about the same thing, which we'll get into in a second. Oh, and I was just like, this is the episode where we'll know what exactly is happening. I knew that.
Where it's going. Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, but he was playing with games with Jordan and they were asleep at the baker's house. Right. I think is what happened. And so anyway, JJ called them all excited because it was senior skip day. And so that's how we get this whole intro. Spencer is also talking to Grace. And we finally get a Dylan mention because they act like this man does not exist.
Where is he? Come back.
He's missing. But yeah, so we at least got an off-screen Dylan mention. But Spencer tells Grace that it's senior skip day, that he has plans with Liv. I think she knows what those plans are. She makes a comment about not making babies.
Definitely knows. Oh yeah.
She definitely knows. And then she talks about sneaking into the school and hiding a capsule. And so that's sort of how the episode starts, and that's the intro of it. And I thought that we could jump to the parents and their storyline. But okay. Yeah, it was fun. I think Grace goes to drop something off to Carter. I don't remember what she was dropping off, but
I think they just said papers. They kept it vague.
Just paper. Well, there's some copy paper, just a stack of copy paper. No, yeah. So she was dropping something off to him. It was in the middle of the day too, which makes sense because it is skip day. But I was just like, it's so weird that she's there in the
That
middle
she's
of the
there.
day.
I know.
Yeah,
He even
and
said
then
something.
she
He's like,
was
"Why are you here?"
exactly, and then she like goes to find Billy, and it's just like, doesn't he teach a class? Like,
Right?
what is going on? He has a schedule, I'm sure,
Don't they have things to
but
do?
right, but they go on what's called a little adventure because it's like it's never a wrong time for a little adventure, as Grace says. And they go to find these capsules that they hid when they were in high school, when they were seniors in high school.
Right.
And so they sort of like go on a goose chase. Eventually, Carter comes in on this goose chase. They find a bunch of capsules from different years. One has a joint in it, one has an old Twinkie like thing in it. Laura eventually comes. She's not here for it, and she's just like, I just want to eat. Just give me
I
food.
am hungry.
And
Give me
I
that
love
Twinkie.
that because right, she eats the Twinkie because eventually they enlist Denise, which I was so happy she was back because she's hilarious.
I know.
She's so funny. And so they enlist her and she helps them find it, and basically they read their old predictions. Which what was it? Grace had a prediction that she would become the like first black female president.
President. Yep.
um, right, right. Corey, they read Corey's prediction. His prediction is that he's like going to break a rushing record, that he's going to be like an NFL legend, all of that stuff. And then they read Billy's prediction, and he was going to be married to his soulmate
Soulmate.
with kids.
Awkward.
Exactly. And
Ooh, so awkward.
so something about this podcast is that like I cannot stand Billy. And so for the fact that like
Oh,
Laura asking him later about he was just she was just like, oh, you know, your prediction didn't come true, and then he tried to twist it around. It's just like, Billy, calm down.
you
Everybody knows it's
know
awkward.
what it was. Exactly. We
Exactly.
already called out that it was awkward. Just like move on. Like push forward.
Exactly. You don't have to
Don't
like
bring it
try
back
to do this
around.
makeshift, like, exactly. Don't try to do this makeshift. Oh, it was about you all along.
Exactly.
But yeah, what did you think? What did you think about that storyline?
I really liked it because I thought like it juxtaposed really nicely with the kids' storyline and paralleling like the kids are in this moment that the adults are having these memories of, and it
Hmm.
just worked really well. Me as an adult, I know the feeling of what it feels like to be in like your last semester of high school, and the
Right.
world is ahead of you and you have all these thoughts about what you're going to be and what you're going to do. And I don't know, like I resonated with that. I'm not as old as them, but I'm
Right.
like in the middle of both groups. And so I thought it
Yeah.
was really fun. And it's always
Same.
good when a teen show like makes the adults relevant and gives them things that
Yeah.
actually make sense, and they're not just sort of there to like prop up the kids. And All
Exactly.
American is really good with that. And I thought it was funny. I loved what's her name that when she the character that came back?
Denise.
Denise, yeah.
Yeah.
I love Denise. I think she's
I used to call
hilarious,
her by her
and she should.
sister name. Like her name was
Yes!
Diagon, so I called her that for the longest time.
Oh my gosh, she's so good at that. I love that show. Yeah, so I loved her being back, and it was just fun. I loved it. I thought it worked.
It was. And I think she brings a good balanced dynamic between the
Agreed.
adults because when it's just like Laura, Grace, and Billy, there is sort of still sometimes that awkwardness. I feel like just between them and like
Yeah,
Grace is always sort of stepping on eggshells when it comes to Laura because it's the whole dynamic between the two. So to
agreed, because,
have
considering, right.
right because she had affairs.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, but
Exactly. And so
they have come a really long way, though. I will say
they
that.
have.
Like, Laura is so, like, classy with her because her reaction is just, "Oh, that's really sweet,
She's the
honey," when he reads.
best.
Right, and she could have been like, I don't wanna hear about," you know what I mean? Like, that could have been really
Right,
fresh. They just got remarried
right.
and, everything, so I just think that they're all really matured and sort of like, when
Yeah.
she finds Grace and Billy together looking for the stuff, there's no, like, reaction of, why are you two together doing this? And instead it's
Right.
just lighthearted. And then they bring Carter in, and he's actually pretty funny this episode, which is nice to see
Exactly.
because usually I find him a drag. And
Yeah.
he like slaps hands with Billy, and it's
He is
just
pretty
fun.
buttoned
It works.
down. Yeah.
Yeah, it was good to see him loosen up a little bit because if he's gonna be with Grace, he's got to be like a good catch. She's
Yeah.
Grace.
Yeah. And I love looking at Lamona Archie, so that's always a
Yes,
plus.
yes,
But
same.
no, I agree. It was good to watch all of them. And like I said, I think Denise really brings that dynamic because the actress has such good comedic timing. And so it's always a fun time when she's there.
I agree. The episode where the three women are drinking wine together at the bar
Yes.
is just, oh my gosh, it's
It's
so good. It's
hilarious.
so funny. They're so good. Yeah.
It's so funny. So funny. So that was their storyline, and they ended on, Grace and Carter have a little night out alone and have dinner, and leads to some more, leads to
Sleepover.
spending the night, and
Yeah, it
looks
does.
like Laura, no longer a DA, is getting high with Billy and Denise, and they go out to dinner together too. I
I
was
love
not
it.
expecting that. When
It
she
was
said,
great.
"Oh, I'm gonna smoke this," I was like, Laura.
I
I
know.
love
Getting
this
back to her
side of
teen
you.
roots. I love it. I
Exactly. It was good.
know. She's been really good this season. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we love her. And so that was the parents. And on to the group. So we're gonna like fast forward, gonna keep Spencer and Olivia to the end because
Okay.
we love them to
Oh
death.
yeah. Yes.
And so,
Of course.
but what we do know is that they got interrupted at the cabin because
Many
Simone
times.
and
Yes.
Jordan, JJ, Patience, Coob, Asher, Layla, all of them end up crashing. JJ does a whole little find your phone thing for, I guess, Spencer and Jordan. That was like never thoroughly explained,
Spencer
but it
and
was
Jordan
weird.
and
And Simone
Simone
and
and
Olivia.
Olivia. Yes, everybody.
But like, why those four in particular and not
I don't
Asher?
know because
I don't
that's
know.
true. Actually, I don't know. You would think it'd be Asher first. They're like buddies.
Right, right. But anyway, so he does find the phone. He comes to find Simone and Jordan and Spencer and Olivia at the cabin. They immediately take off Find My Phone. And
Immediate, as they should.
exactly, as they should. And he basically, Spencer ends up inviting Patience and Coop because Coop talks to him about some troubles that they're having, and he invites them up. Patience invites Layla and Asher, and that's like how they have this whole ditch day thing. And they had some good group moments. I love the water balloon fight. I love the
Oh, so
bounce
fun.
house. It was just because, again, there's a lot of drama. It is a drama, but there's a lot of drama on this show, and so just to see the teens be teens for a bit was just amazing.
I agree. And just to be reminded that they're all friends, and which this season has done a pretty good job of, like, even on the football field, seeing like the Crenshaw kids and the Beverly Hills kids come together and stuff like that. So
Right.
it's just nice to remember like they're all a friend unit. It's because a lot of people, they get split up in their relationships and their specific
Right.
friendships. And it's just nice to see them like all together in
Yeah,
one.
especially because I think with COVID and the fact that they moved Spencer back to Crenshaw in
Right.
season three really sort of messed with the dynamic. So we didn't get, really, the cabin was the only time that we got them
Right.
together, and even Coop and Patience weren't there for the majority of that time. So to see not only just like the Beverly people, but also Coop and Patience be in on that was like really great.
I agree, especially before everybody goes to college. Like, it's nice that it's just melded back into one big thing. And then we're gonna get prom, and they're all together too. So I think it's gonna be like 2 episodes back to back of just really good group stuff.
Right, right. And audience, if you hear like dance music in the background, it's because I'm in Jamaica and people are partying down right now.
Having a
So
good time.
having a good time. So if you recall the last, I'm not gonna do it now, but I was like singing a Jamaica song in another podcast. So that's for you, whenever I did that.
I love it.
And so yeah, oh, another thing I loved about that is that the girls attacked the guys this time with the water balloons, which the guys got
Yes!
them the last time. So that was a
Such a
nice
good
little parallel.
callback. Yes.
It's a nice little parallel. But like Asher and JJ, they had their own thing going on. There wasn't like a firm storyline with them. They were more so a part of everybody else's. Two people who did have their own storyline though was Patience and Coop.
Mm,
And it's been their storyline for a while, right? Is that Patience is just done, right? She's back from tour, so she already had the tour. So we did a little time jump. They were supposed to go to Crenshaw's ditch day, but then Coop got a message from her lawyer or whatever, and the lie is continuing on about the self
right,
defense and getting shot. And yeah, like I said, Spencer ends up inviting them, and Patience ends up inviting Layla and Asher, and it's just like at the cabin they don't really interact that well until like almost the very end when they have a conversation and they're talking about distance. And for the first time actually, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this, is this the first time you've actually seen Patience vocalize her issue with Coop? Because I think in the past when they've had problems, I'm thinking season 2, it was more about, oh, like like the audience could just tell. So I feel like Patience didn't need to vocalize it as much, but this time she gave a list of things that she was unhappy
agreed.
about, and so that was interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting that Spencer's like, "You guys are known for your great communication," which I don't know if that's necessarily true. Like, I don't think
Right.
like, I feel like with Spencer and Olivia, we're constantly being shown how well they communicate, and I don't know if we necessarily see that. I kind of feel like there's been this underlying thing between Patience and Coop since season 2, even though they've,
Right.
like, had their ups and downs, I don't know, there's always just been a thing where it feels like eventually they're headed towards like a breakup
Yeah.
eventually at some point.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you're right. I think this is the first time that Patience has really been like, here are my issues. Um,
Right.
and they seemingly talk it out, but I don't think it's over.
Yeah.
Even just from Patience's reaction when Coop's not looking, like Coop's good. She's like, "Great, we're fine. It's all good. We're
Coop's
moving on."
always good, and it's
Right.
let me not get started
She's
on
very
Coop. Don't let
unaware.
me
I
not
know.
get started on Tamia Cooper right now because I'm gonna
She just
rant.
thinks everything's all gravy, but it's just not. Like it
No.
it takes more than one conversation, and I don't know if I don't know. I love Patience and I do really like their relationship, but lately it feels like maybe I don't know, they need to break up if they're going to
Yeah, well, and to be
figure it
honest,
out.
I was of the thought that they should have never gotten back together because how do you? And now I actually am gonna rant, but how do you not tell your girlfriend, your partner, your significant other? How do you not tell them that they like have a record deal and like hide that from them, or could potentially get a record deal out of jealousy? And then all
Right.
of a sudden it's
That was
okay.
oh my
They never
gosh, that just
actually dealt with that.
new memory unlocked. That just like all of it came flooding back about how she was so jealous of
Oh, I
Patience
have
and oh
so
my
many issues
gosh.
with Coop.
That's the thing. They're not great at community. They have so much to work through that they like have not dealt with and it needs to
Right,
be
right,
handled.
right, right. And she's not. And I think this is a couple of times that Patience has said, you've made me complicit in a lie. And I feel like that's just going in one ear and out the other with Coop. Because again, she
Agreed.
just sort of is just like every single time they've talked, especially this season, it's we'll figure it out. We're gonna get back there. Oh, I know I'm not the person that I used to be, but she's in there somewhere. Which that was also interesting. It's like, so you're admitting that you've changed significantly, and you're still just like everything's fine.
Just brushing it off like no big deal. But I mean, and I do feel for Coop in the sense that she went through something like
She did.
severely traumatic. Like
She did.
that is a huge thing. But she still needs to communicate with her partner,
Yeah.
especially like how serious they are together. And like, like Patience says, this is endgame for me. Like, this is it. I
Right.
am all in. So I'm here for you. And, she took care of Coop and she went through that too, to a degree when Coop was in the hospital and everything. And so it's like
Yeah.
Coop needs to learn to adjust how she handles things and deals with things in relation to Patience, especially.
Right, right. And in relation to the situations that she gets herself into, that didn't come
Yes.
up as much today, but Patience talking about like you moved in with Preach when I and she said when I needed you on tour, and then you didn't even like talk to me about anything. And so the
Right.
fact that Coop is like just continually putting herself in these situations, not and then not communicating is what's really bugging Patience this time, I think.
Right. I totally agree. And the whole thing with Preach's daughter is still very weird to me because I just feel like they threw that in there
I don't want it
and
on my screen.
right? Like I don't understand like where she's coming. Like I don't know. I'm like it just felt like a very weird plot line that they were just like, "Oh,
Yeah.
Preach has a daughter now." And there was no like they didn't develop it. They didn't invest in it. Now all of a sudden Coop is like taking care of her. I don't know. It's just it's very weird to me. That storyline's very weird. I don't know.
And I said this 2 weeks ago, but I was just like, why do we still have Tyrone connections? Like, we should have
Right.
left Tyrone in season two. Season three
Yes.
was dragging it. Season three was dragging it. And they did I don't even think they necessarily I wasn't a fan of the whole Mo thing because I feel like they
Me
left it
neither.
too long and then it
Agreed.
randomly came back up. And so
100%.
now that this Amina thing is, I'm just like, I'm done. I don't care. We've seen this storyline, four different iterations of this same storyline, and now we're supposed to believe an 11-year-old is a villain.
Exactly. Let's villainize a 10-year-old girl. So I mean, it just doesn't. And honestly, like with Preach, like not making money because Coop's quitting music, that's an interesting storyline in and of itself. Like she could be
Right.
trying to help Preach and like feel responsibility there and be working through the fact that she's quitting music, and it could be focused on that and not on, oh, this 11-year-old is like secretly trying to take me down, or like I don't even know
Right.
what's
It's like
happening. And it's just like
she's trying to
it's a
kill her,
whole
let's be
mess.
honest.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Everyone's
it
always trying
is.
to kill Coop. It just never
Literally
ends.
just it never ends. If I, some of my friends would be like, just kill her already. I'm not at that level yet, but like, I don't know. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. But I,
I
I
mean,
love
I
Coop
love
as a
Coop, but
best friend to Spencer.
oh, 100, their friendship is the best part of her character in my opinion. So it
It's
was
her
tough in
saving
season
grace
3 to
for me.
see them
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's another thing that I forgot to mention is in these group scenes do the guys there was another funny a couple funny one-liners in this, but the guys showing all of their tuxes on the on their phone. They have the
So
picture
good.
saved. And
Oh my
Jordan just
gosh.
freaking out about the lapels.
Being obsessed, the scene where he's talking about lapels to Spencer is so, and Spencer's just looking at him like, I want to die.
That
Like it's so funny. The comedic
hilarious.
timing is just Michael Evans Belling is really really good at the comedy. I mean, he's
Yeah,
good
he is.
period, but comedic timing is like his
Yeah,
niche. He's
he's
so funny.
so funny, so funny. And Daniel, and we're so used to Spencer being angry and like Spencer
Yes.
being on all the time, but him, what again, this Coop saving grace is him like her teasing him about having the picture on his phone because nobody else there would know that enough to call him out. And so the fact that she
Right.
called him out, he was like, I don't, oh, bam, I got it. It was hilarious.
So good. I like when
So
Spencer
funny.
gets to be funny and silly. It's so
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, and we got a lot of those moments with Olivia tonight, which was fun. And even
Yes.
Asher had a little funny moment. I'm not typically an Asher fan, but the little Dolce and Garbage line, it did it
Yes.
for me. It did it for
Me
me.
too. I'm not really an Asher fan either, but I do like I think we finally have a storyline for him that I'm into. Like I
Yeah,
like this storyline. I like him being a coach and being out of football, and
right.
I think that that's a very good decision for his character. So like I'm into it.
Same,
I'm
same,
I mean, I'm
same.
not there are some things that he's done this season that I'm not into that I'm sure we'll get into, but but overall, I like that.
Yes, 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 yes. Well, and the funny thing about Asher, the coach storyline, is I'm just like, okay, can we just make him a coach now? Like we've been hinting at this for a while,
I
so can
know
we
it
just
has
like let's
been
just
dropping the
rip the
yep.
band-aid off? Like Let's do it. You're a coach.
Yeah, but they
Um,
finally said it this episode. They
right.
finally
Yes.
said the word coach. JJ was like, "Yeah, coach," and then he had the little smile, which I actually thought was really nice. I thought
Yeah.
the recordings were really well done.
Yeah, they were. They were. And JJ being obsessed with the recording was also really funny,
Yes.
trying to get like wide shots and drones in there. It's hilarious.
Yeah. He was
Yes, yes, yes. So moving to someone we've been itching to talk about, Layla.
Okay. I should be really upfront here that I am a Jordan and Layla truther. I have shipped them since season 1, so when it comes to things that are not
Since
them,
season one you've shipped them? You're
since
like,
season 1.
wait.
OG.
So
I
now,
am
okay,
a
now we gotta like
yeah,
take a pause here so you can
yeah.
explain that because I'm like season two, but like season one, that's really early on.
I know, but there's just something about their characters that I have always felt would be so good for each other. And
Yeah,
I've just seen it from the very beginning. And then, the childhood friends to lovers, and Jordan had a crush on her when they were younger, and I think that's really cute.
we
And
can
so that's
absolutely see that happening. By the
yeah,
way,
so that's
so
sort of
obvious.
like where it starts. And then of course season 2 is like where the hammer really drops. Like that's when I was like,
Right.
okay, this is really good. And then season
Yeah.
3, I was like, oh, it's happening. I thought it was a crack ship for a while. I thought I was crazy and I was never going to get what I wanted, but I was like, oh no, wait, they might do this. And I
Can
am
I
still
say
convinced.
your art, like I think I was reading one of your reviews last season and I had been the same, like, oh, maybe this is happening, maybe it isn't. And then I read what, I don't remember which it was probably for like episode 8 or something, and then when I read it I was just like, no, I have to like be full blown about my love for Jordan and Layla.
Just lean into it. They're so good for one another, and the way they
Yeah.
understand each other. Last season, they had this conversation when Layla was like really struggling, or she had just broken up with Spencer, and she was like, "I'm just so upset that he thought I was weak." And
Right.
Jordan was like, "You're the strongest person I know," and that's exactly what she needed to hear. Like that is
Right.
exactly what needed to be
Yeah.
said, and so I was like, okay, this is happening. And then they have that conversation in the finale, and she reads him, and she's like, but that's
Right.
not what you want. I know that's not what you want. It's
Right.
not what you need. Like, you're not being honest with yourself. And
Yeah.
I just love when two people understand each other more than anybody
Yes.
else. You just see it coming way ahead of time, and you're like, oh, this is a connection. They're so good. I
And
love it.
it is so good. And it's happened, I think, in this episode, it's happened in an interesting way, right?
Yes.
We've never really
Yes.
seen them have, and he was not as fighting, right? But I was gonna say them fight. She was more of the one who was upset. But yeah, we've never seen them in that light. But he sort of talks to her about how distant she's been, and she did. I'm gonna be fair, right? Because I defend Layla, and I will still defend her. But
Me
she
too.
did have an interesting look, right, when Spencer and Olivia were talking about prom, and talking about like having the dresses, and she walked out for a moment to talk to Simone. Um, so that she did have a like slight reaction. I don't know if it was about prom or if it was about Spencer Olivia or a mix of both, and just the fact that she has been distant. Because Patience also gave a look. Audience, go back and rewatch because Patience also gave a look.
The
But
reaction
yeah,
looks are always everything.
she had a reaction to that, and so anyway, I guess she had been like, she was enjoying herself, but she, I guess, Jordan, right, noticed enough, and the only one to notice it, by the way.
The
But
only one.
the only
P.S.
one to notice that she's
Not
been off
Asher.
for a while, not Asher. But yeah, that she's been off for a while, and he brings it up to her, and then mentions her sleeping with Asher and her one night
Yeah.
stand, and that's when
And
they sort of get into it.
yeah, so like I am with Layla on the fact that he crosses a boundary by bringing up her sleeping with Asher. It's none of his business, and I'm where I see it as a Jordan and Layla shipper and truther is that there is a little bit of a jealousy there, a little bit, just slightly. I mean, he didn't play it that way, like that's not how it was delivered, but
Yeah,
I feel like deep down maybe that's why, because it makes him think like, why would she do that? And that stems from sort of jealousy, but I think he's crossing a line there. So I'm with her on the double standard and all that stuff, but at the
Yeah.
same time, he just cares about her, and he's
Yeah.
right. She has been distant, and she has a right to have boundaries for sure, but that's not what this is about. This is different. This is like
Yeah.
a wall up, and it's specifically for some reason aimed at Jordan right now. And I think I don't know. I don't
Oh,
know
that's so interesting. So you read
because
that as like it was specifically aimed at Jordan and not the entire friend group.
I don't think that she would have um kind of flipped out. Like, I mean, I'm sure if it was Spencer saying that, she would have flipped out, but they had a conversation that was very at her birthday party that was very nice and very
Right.
open, and she had a conversation with Liv that was very open, but as soon
Yeah.
as Jordan tries to connect with her now, she's closing herself off. Why is that? Why is it Jordan?
Oh my God.
Why? He's just caring
I
about
love
her.
the
That's
way
all
he
he
is
wanted.
thinking. Well,
I'm so
okay,
biased, but it's like
I did not think about it in that particular way. So yeah, like love Jordan and Layla. I also enjoy Jamone, but like I
I do
love
too.
the potential of Jordan and Layla. Just like
Yes.
you were saying, like like friends to lovers, that whole trope, and just that I think that
Yes.
they understand each other really well.
And
Um,
you know that Simone
but
is leaving, so it's not like
right,
there's too much
exactly.
guilt because
If
she's got to go do her own
homecoming
thing.
if
Exactly.
Homecoming survives, I'm sorry, Jamal and Shippers, I'm sorry, but if Homecoming survives, it's it's gonna end.
They're not gonna have two of them like, on Homecoming, Simone will be the main character. They are not gonna have her in a long distance relationship with someone who is on a completely different show for an entire season. That's not gonna grab viewers, plus especially because there's
Right,
that Damon character as well, and then you're not gonna have, Jordan going off and just being in a I mean, it just that isn't good television, you know?
right,
So
right, right. Well, and they've been planting Jordan and Layla scenes to your
yes.
point since season
Oh,
one.
big time.
If you really pay attention, and yeah,
100%.
so that's what I'm gonna say that. But on their fight, I like as the Jordana shipper I am, rewatched the scene a couple times, and it was really like at first I was just like, oh yeah, he's absolutely right because I actually at the end of episode one and at the end of episode two, I was just like, I don't think Layla's, and I've said this a couple times, I was just like, I don't think Layla is okay. Like, I don't think that she's fully moved on. There's just some things that have happened, like, ever so slight. Like, I don't know. It was really the gun rage, and I was like, she seemed a little too excited at the gun rage.
Right,
When she
no,
went to
she
go shoot like with her father, and I was just like, I don't think she's good, right? And like being scared, especially with her birthday and stuff, and obviously the thing with Asher uh, that happened that like we thank goodness
ugh.
is over. It was
Ugh,
confirmed it was only
uh,
one night. People, they were not friends
I
with
know.
it.
Just a one night fun thing, which is totally fine as long as
Get
it
that
stays
man
that
away
way.
from her.
Please, I
Exactly.
always say that. I'm like, get him away from her. Please.
It's
But
so but I've seen that, and so it was interesting for Jordan the character to call out her like odd behavior over the last couple of months. But
right.
that is
I do
like you said,
yeah.
that's say that again.
No, I agree. I think that she's obviously I mean, I would have boundaries if I let a friend in and she ended up almost killing me. Like, that's a very
Right.
traumatic experience with crazy quote
Exactly.
unquote
She
cra I
almost
hate
got
using that
pushed
word,
off
but
the cliff.
right,
Back to the
like, it was
trauma.
right, so exactly, don't even get me started on that because that was a li I didn't love how they executed that
It was
plot line.
very dramatic. Yeah.
But yeah, it was like soap opera status dramatic, but yeah, I don't know. And so I think he's reading her right, but at the same time, she moved into the baker's house. Like, they're supposed to be her safe space. So to see her then put a wall up with Jordan, I don't know. It just puts my feelers out. Like, I'm like, like my eyebrow raises, and I'm like,
Right.
why was she
Right.
so like nippy at him? You know?
That is so because I was thinking about it from his perspective. and saying like it was really random for him to bring up Asher because it changed from like you're because again something that she also said, which she was talking about going to college, and this has been
Right.
a I think a popular fan prediction that she's going to take a gap year.
Oh,
But I
yeah, I
think
assumed.
I've dabbled in screenwriting, and I've
Oh.
made a little side story here, maybe about Jordan Layla, and with a friend. And I feel like I understand her character better, and so I was just like, but she's always like we've always seen Layla be studious, and so again for Jordan to point out that she's just like she's always wanted to go to college again, sort of that parallel with her conversation about oh you've always wanted to play Pac-12 football, and so, like, is this gap year something that she really wants to do, or is it like another, uh, just like another defense mechanism, like another mask for her? And
I think
I
he's
don't
right.
know what's
I think
going
you're right.
on.
I think it's a mask. I think I mean, because just like Jordan saying, "Oh, I don't want to play, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to follow Simone," and her being like, "That's not what you want, though." That this is him saying that to her, and he's right. I think that she's throwing herself into her work
Right?
because that kind of makes her forget about everything that she's going through, and going to college might be scary after everything that she's been through with her mental health
Yeah,
and with Carrie. And so, yeah, it makes total sense, and I think that he's on point, and I think we'll
he
see
was.
more about like what
And Asher
happened with that.
absolutely did not need to be brought up. And why did he bring him up?
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's why I think it's jealousy, because that does not, like, the school thing makes
It
sense, the
didn't
wall thing
connect.
makes
It
sense.
wasn't
The
connected.
Asher thing, what does that have? She had sex with someone, so what? What is that? That's totally normal. Like, what are you talking
It
about?
completely came out of nowhere. But yeah, so
Why are
it was
you thinking
interesting.
about that, Jordan?
And she and she called him out on his escapades as well, which
Yes.
again rightfully so. And so
Yes, I agree.
basically the end of this is that they've officially entered their angst era.
I'm here for it. I'm here but the pictures for next episode of prom seem
Oh
like
yep,
yeah.
yeah, we're gonna get into it, we're gonna get into
Screaming,
it.
crying, throwing up, yeah.
And so the other ship that I think we both do enjoy still, even though we do root for Jordan and Layla, I do enjoy Jordan and Simone as well. They had a romantic getaway. They had fun at the cabin, which I've actually been disappointed in the amount of time Simone has been on the screen because she has not been on the screen. We have not seen them together in a while. And I actually want them to like enjoy this because I do think they're going to break up. So I do want them to have their moment and we
Their
just haven't had a
moment.
ton of moments with them.
Yeah, she's definitely filming Homecoming, so that's why this is. But it's just, and I felt this way though about Simone and Jordan from the beginning, that she's never been on screen enough with them. I have always wanted to see more, because it just was like
Right.
she was there for Baby Gate, and then they got together, and then she's been like very in and out. I really started to like them when they
Yeah.
went to Vegas, because I felt like we got like a lot of time with them, and I was like, okay,
Thank you.
I'm feeling it
Can
now.
we talk about the fact that when they started serving as a couple is
Yes.
truly, can we talk about this truly, talk about being a truther, is truly the ending of episode 6 of last season where they said it doesn't matter that we don't know all of this stuff because we're in love. And it was just like this is the first time you both have consistently been cute and like not on different pages and like for
That's
the
when I
first
started to buy
time.
it.
Exactly. Thank you. And then that led
Yes.
right into Vegas. And then that's when we said, oh, like this makes sense.
This is sweet. I'm into that. Yes, and the chemistry is really there, and it works, and
Right.
that's when I started to get into it. And then she sort of disappeared. I know the COVID everything with COVID kind of, had to do with it, but she was kind of absent for some of the back half of season 3, and that was tough, because I just want to see them on screen more. Like this episode,
Right.
as much as I love Jordan and Layla together, this is a really good episode for
For
Jamone.
them, exactly. They
So
were like,
cute.
the first time we saw it, they were like running, about to go jump in the nasty lake.
Ugh, yeah.
It was, I don't know. I don't know why they were going to jump in that lake, but they were going to do it anyway, and it was going to be cute. Uh,
Yeah.
but and again, like, here's what's disappointing is because we know that it's coming and that homecoming is coming, so they have to. There's gonna be drama. So the minute Olivia brought up prom and saying, "Are you excited for prom?" I'm like, they're gonna have this girl miss
They're
prom.
not going. So and when he was obsessed with his suit and they were so excited about it, I was like,
Right.
"Oh, they're not going. It's not happening for
Well, but
them."
as soon as Olivia, I was like, they would not have Olivia asking her this question about prom if they were going, and she was like, "Yeah,
Nope.
I think she said something about like it's gonna be, he's gonna have the prom of his life or like lifetime or whatever. It's gonna be the moment of his lifetime," and I'm like,
Well, I mean, Layla will be there to make it happen for him if he wants, but no, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Jamone lovers, please don't come for me.
they
I'm
are,
totally
they
kidding.
are, they're. Twitter is an interesting
Twitter is
place on
fierce.
all
I know.
American stand Twitter.
I
I
know.
have definitely, they've come for me hard.
No, me too. Me too. It can but I've had to deal with the Riverdale fandom over in a different
So you
lane. So
already, yeah, you
if I can
understand.
deal with that, anything yeah,
You're
anything
like,
is
you're
okay.
gonna, you can
Yeah.
deal with anything.
But what I like about Jordan and Simone, because we know that they're gonna break up, like we just do. I know that some people don't want to believe that, but it just like it's gonna happen. Even if it doesn't last forever, if like homecoming doesn't work out or they figure out a way to bring him whatever it is, it's gonna happen. They're gonna break up for a while. Like that's just
Right.
a fact of life. So what I like with what they're
You
doing with
said these
them
are just the facts.
these are just the facts here that we're just going to lay out. But I like that they're a couple that's very much in love and that's very
Yeah.
believable for me. I believe that they love each other very much and they're kind of showing that couple that believes that they're going to be the exception to the rule, right? Like they're going to be the ones that
Yes.
can make it work long distance. And I was in a relationship my senior year that was like very serious and we thought we were going to be together no matter what and like you just believing it with your whole heart like we're going to get married and this is it for me and
Yeah.
then distance isn't going to change and I just think that that's playing out like very realistically
Yeah.
so I think because you know you don't have that problem with like Spencer and Olivia, they're not leaving
Right.
each other and so they're using that opportunity to at least tell a good story, which I
Right.
like. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and to that point, right? Jordan started to bring it up. He was just like, we haven't addressed the elephant in the room, but
Right.
you're leaving. And like,
Yes.
how will we make this work? How will we make this work? And
Right.
I just, I I feel like they just put Simone in these impossible situations, and I wish they set up a better storyline for her. Like they had, she, lied about the baby, which was supposed to be a one off, but then like Jeffrey did so well that they kept her on, but like she lied about the baby, and then like
Yeah.
she was maybe the one that was a little hesitant to get married, but like that obviously that worked itself out really quickly. But then she wanted to take back the baby, and she was like ignoring him when he was, and then she called off the wedding. Like it just, and so now even though Jordan is the one saying how will it work, I didn't love the way that they had Simone handle it. Like it was cute, right? The phone, like phone sex or whatever she was trying to do. But
It was.
realistically,
That's
realistically, that's your answer after taking a long walk and
Yeah, like, that's not gonna solve all your problems. For the moment, it'll get him to stop talking
he
about it.
asked you if you were sick. I mean, are you not
Right.
embarrassed? I'm kidding.
That was so funny, like, he was just not getting it. He's like, "I'm wearing
No, he
sweatpants.
wasn't.
What are you
All
sick?
right.
Are you okay? You feel okay?" Like,
Exactly.
"Come on, guy,
That
catch
was so
on."
odd.
Yeah, but,
Jordan, his sometimes slow processing.
yeah, right? It's so funny. I love him, though, but I don't know, like, they do make her hard she should kind of be hard to root for in some instances. Like in the beginning, I found her hard to root for just because what she did was like so wild. But then they tried to give explanations that like
Right.
supported why she made that decision. And I appreciated that. And Jeffrey Maya is just so good and so
She's
likable that
excellent. Yeah.
you can't help but love her. Hello, she's getting a
Right.
spinoff for a reason, you know?
Exactly.
Um, but yeah, and I mean, like, as someone who played sports in high school and college, I will say, like, go to prom. Go to prom.
Mhm.
You should go to prom. You don't need, I don't know what this is, what tennis tournament this is, but tennis
Right.
was my sport. I can tell you that there's nothing that's going to make it so that if you don't go to this, everything will be ruined. Like, just go to prom. It's a
Right,
once in a
right.
lifetime thing, you know?
You were like, watch King Richard. You know what? Their dad took them out of juniors and they still were successful.
Exactly. Like, you
Since
can
you want to
make it.
beat
It'll
Serena
work.
Williams' record, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that left on an interesting note, and again, we'll get into what we see for them, even though we've talked about it quite a bit for the future. But uh, though that was them, and then obviously the big one, Spencer and Olivia. Uh, they they were just trying to find some alone time together to finally have their moment.
To have their moment. They want to so bad. And we want to see
to
it. So,
yeah, to in their words, make love. See, audience, I didn't laugh that time because it was a nice, I there was a distinction there.
yeah, they're taking it
And
seriously.
they're taking it seriously. They're taking it slow. But so he comes and surprises her. She has an assignment to finish, and you could tell she's really like she wants to finish the assignment because it's this internship that she has, but she's also again really excited to be with Spencer. But he blindfolds her. The interesting thing about the blindfold, which she says, "Okay, kinky." There's so many great one-liners.
Kinky, but I'm into it.
Yeah, and she was like, "Oh, it's gonna happen in the backseat of the car." Like she just had so many great lines there. But he told her to finish her assignment in the car, but
I am
she was
so glad you said
blindfolded.
that. I'm so glad you said that. I was like, what kind of plot hole hootenanny is this? Like, what is, finish your
Well,
stuff, but I'm gonna blindfold you. What?
literally, and they never addressed the fact that Liv pretended that she didn't know that they were at the cabin. Was she just trying to like have Spencer turn around and like say like we're not actually going to the cabin? Because she said, "Oh, we passed a new hotel," and she was just like, "You were supposed to be blindfolded."
So she obviously could see. Oh my goodness.
She obviously saw, but so I don't understand why she waited until that moment to tell
To
to
tell
tell him
him.
about Simone.
Right, like
Maybe
we're
it's
gonna
because
get all the
she
way
invited
there
them. And people have
because
been
then it
getting on
wouldn't work.
Jordan. Right. People were getting on Jordan for like not letting Spencer know. But like Olivia should take some of that heat as well because she's the one that invited them to the James cabin, which why do any of them have a key?
Exactly. He's like, you need to at least call me and check with me first. Like, you can come, but like,
Exactly.
it's still my cabin.
Exactly. Spencer doesn't have a lot. I mean, he has suits now, but like he doesn't have a lot. You can't just be showing up at his cabin
Yeah, it's a precious place for him. Come on.
exactly. And a special place for he and Liv, which is why he took them
Yes,
there. And they ended up getting surprised quite a few times. First with Jordan and Simone, then with JJ, then with Patience and Coop and Layla and Asher. So there
everybody.
was just a lot of interruptions. One thing that because I feel like we've gotten so spoiled in the last couple of episodes with their moments. And so I was actually expecting them to be on my screen more. But I don't feel like they were actually like they were central to the episode, yes, but that was I feel like near the end and we didn't actually get to see them just by themselves a lot of the time, which I guess is it makes sense, right? Because she was working on her assignment and he was doing whatever he was doing.
Yeah, it's like conflict drives the story, right? So they don't really have, as they say in the episode, they don't have any conflict right now. Like they are in
Right.
the perfect spot. I'm sure they will eventually, but right now they've got great communicate. I mean, their communication is like insane. It's so good.
Right.
They have
Especially
all
this
the
season, I'd say. I feel like
oh,
it's improved vastly because I did a little rewatch and I was just like, I don't know if they're as great communicators as I thought. But this season, they're
this
living up to
season.
their communication like
Yes.
reputation.
It is phenomenal, and just even the way, like, he approaches her when she's doing work, like, he wants her to pay attention, but he's still understanding to her and having to get her
Right.
work done, and they don't have the pressure of anybody, like, leaving because 'cause they're still gonna be
Right.
together, and so they're in this, like, great honeymoon place, so, a lot of the episode has to focus on, like, all the other couples that are, like,
Yeah.
burning to the ground right now, so we
Yeah.
don't get as much, but at least it ends with the right thing.
Right, right, right. And so they even tried to sneak away to a little tent in the woods, which I thought would have been really exciting.
That would
I
have been,
wanted
but in
it,
reality, I
but in
probably would have been
reality, it
like,
was
"No, this is gonna be bugs, and this is
Liv was
not gonna
excited
work."
for it. Liv
She
was
was
the one
into
that
it.
put it together.
She was into it, so all the
But they got
brothers.
surprised a fourth time because JJ wanted to do the whole campfire thing
Oh,
again. And
JJ.
so they ended up doing
Oh,
that. Good thing
JJ.
they didn't play Never Have I Ever this time.
No. Oh my gosh.
We've seen enough of that. But so anyway, they just like are chilling. She finished her assignment, and then they decide to have a classic Spencer and Olivia movie night. Which, of course,
Kinda
of
perfect.
course, their first time would happen like with something that's special in his twin bed.
In his little twin bed where they can't realistically probably can't both fit, he probably had, like, underneath the covers, 2 legs off the bed in order for them to fit comfortably.
My friend Kaya, who also like reviews the show, she was just like Liv was on his side of the bed because she would have fallen off
She
otherwise.
would have fallen off. No, really. Twin beds are so small, and Spencer's not
I
like a
was just
small
like,
guy, he's a football player.
you don't. I was like, you don't want to go back to the bakers? Are you sure? Because like Liv has a bigger bed.
Much bigger bed, yes, and they're out to dinner, right? So,
Right,
they're high and out
exactly,
to dinner, they don't
exactly.
care.
Exactly. They don't care. They don't care. No, but so anyway, but like the big moment happens and it was amazing. It was
I
very
loved
like
it.
tastefully done. She traces his scar.
Oh, that is a perfect moment of television. It says you always wanna show, not tell, right? And I just feel
Yeah.
like her hand over the scar from the bullet that he took for her, and that is like such a moment that bonded them. Like I feel like that moment, and then also the TV, like watching a movie is so big because I think it was the end of, was it the end of season 2 that they kind of decided that all summer they were going to spend together and just come down and watch movies the whole time, and that's really
Right.
that kind of took their
Yeah.
relationship. So just like those
Those
pillar
markers.
moments, yeah, were there before their first time, and I don't know, it was really sweet and yeah, really well done.
Yeah,
Great
yeah.
chemistry.
This is so random, but I feel like the music is getting louder and louder. And
I can
so,
hear
audience,
it.
if you hear it, I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do about this.
Lovely.
Enjoy the nice like Jamaican sounds as you listen to this podcast. But yes, no, it was really great. And like we got to see them like waking up next to each other and because Grace had a little fun night of her own as we saw. So it was just a really
Yes.
nice moment. And I think the necklace made a comeback. The necklace finally made a comeback from
Oh
Vegas.
yeah,
Right.
you're right, she's wearing it, isn't
So it
she? Yeah.
was yeah, she was. Yeah, so it was just yeah, it was really sweet. Um, and so it sort of ended on that and their predictions, like their actual predictions for 20 years, because they did like we're not doing 30.
Right.
And yeah, so it ended up with, Layla saying that she was already a boss, so that she wanted to be a mogul and like have a daughter and have the kind of relationship her mom had with her. And I think I love the way that they did that because it showed you like again, like yes, she's has this, and not to say she doesn't want to be a mogul, but yes, she has this facade of like being like a boss businesswoman, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, she's just a girl who misses her mom and like
Right.
wants
I
to have a
agree.
family of her
Yes.
own. And
Yes.
so love that. Asher, like you mentioned, he was like, I spent too much time like living in the future, so I want to live in the moment. And then the coach comment by JJ.
Yeah, coach. I loved it. I love that. I just thought it was such a good little, and his little smile. And again, I'm not
Yeah,
the biggest Asher fan, but just like him, I don't know. It was just bashful. It was good.
I'm not an Asher fan at all, but I appreciated the moment. um, And then, if I was an Asher fan, this episode would be he did nothing wrong in this episode, except it was
Totally,
still
totally.
really random that he gave patients advice, and it's very interesting to me. But that's an
He's
aside.
definitely I mean, yeah, he's spending more time. I feel like they're like, "Okay, let's move him over to this group of people because
Right,
he doesn't really have anything to do in, like, the I don't know. They're just like, "Let's connect because 'cause they're trying to connect Coop and Asher through, like, their
right.
shared trauma or whatever, so,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly, exactly. This one was interesting because I want to get your thoughts on this. JJ's like being a number one influencer obviously makes sense, and then he was just like, I want to pull the group of friends together. That makes sense too. And then he said like, I want to be taken seriously, which like makes sense, but I feel like every time they try to make JJ's character um just flesh him out a little bit, it always seems to come randomly and always seems to come sort of immediately without any signs.
I agree, yeah. I mean, I do think they need to flesh him out. I've been waiting for it. He's such good comedic relief, but now that he is a main cast member, I think that
Right.
he needs a story of his own of some
Yeah.
kind. And I agree, and I think that sometimes when they do try and make him too serious, not too serious, but when they try and give him, like, more grounded story, he ends up kinda playing like an asshole, which, like,
Right.
is fine, you can be flawed, but, like, serious JJ is kind of a jerk. So,
Yeah.
I don't know, and it doesn't ever expand. It's like
Especially
1
last season,
episode.
right? With
Yeah,
Jordan.
yes, exactly. So it's like, okay, if you're gonna, like, deepen him, make him more complex, but I don't know, I'm just it's
Yeah,
tricky.
I feel like they're still trying to find their footing with that because it yeah, to your point,
Yeah,
it doesn't I don't think it comes off the way that they want it to. Or maybe they do want it to come off that way. I don't know. But
maybe,
and to your
yeah.
point again, it never lasts. Like it's just for that
Exactly.
episode and then it'll go away and then it'll come back. And so just if they want to flesh him out, so for instance, this whole like wanting to be taken seriously, I'm gonna need like again, not you know berating the point, but like see little crumbs here and there about him actually wanting to be taken seriously or hanging out with the
Right.
girls or I don't know
Like, I
something.
hope that goes somewhere. Like, that
Right.
that's foreshadowing to something, you
Exactly.
know?
Exactly. Exactly. Coop says like somewhere doing something something fly with patience by her side, which cool. Good for you.
Don't know if that's gonna work out for her, but okay.
Exactly. But that was her prediction. Patience, she was just like, oh, I have nothing there because she said nothing. She was just like, I don't know what the future holds.
Yeah, Coop and Patience are in for they're obviously foreshadowing some very bad things for the 2 of them as a couple, so
Yes, yes, yes. And I actually, when we get to predictions, I have a little announcing a little bet that I have going on. But yeah, Patience said that she doesn't really know what's happening. Side note, I would love to see her story develop more outside of Coop, so I'm interested to see
I totally agree.
what that looks like. Jordan, he said he wanted a Hall of Fame career, make his dad proud. Which, again, I'm glad that they're sticking on this his storyline with Billy because I think it's so key to who he is and how he
It
operates.
is. Oh my gosh, it's
And
like his driving force for every decision he
it
makes in his
is.
life.
And
Yeah.
little Jordan Layla moment at the top in the first episode is right. He mentions his dad, and she's the one that
Yep.
brings. She's like, you remember when you thought your dad was gonna like kill you, but it turned out to be fine. And so, anyway, yes, his dad is his
Yeah.
driving force, and I just said all that to say that Layla knows that as well.
Yes, hello.
And so yeah, and then he also said with his beautiful wife, Simone comes in, and it was interesting that Simone did not have her own solo predictions.
Agreed, especially considering she's going off onto her own series.
Right, right, exactly. So that was interesting, but that was Jordan's. Olivia said that she wants to make a difference, make the world a better place, which we very very clear and
Accurate.
yeah,
Very
very
accurate.
accurate.
Yep.
And Spencer's, right on the nose too. Retire from the NFL, coach Pee Wee football, be an asset to his community. We love that. We love that.
Love
And
that.
that was it. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Stay tuned for our predictions. Thanks for watching.